Hey everybody, I hope you're enjoying your break. It's almost coming to an end. I did want to send out a quick orientation over some of the changes that is different from 101 going into 102. I have to put some changes, different things in Blackboard for you guys. And I will not be there on Friday during your orientation to kind of go over and explain these things. So I wanted to shoot forward and shoot this out here so it could explain some of the little differences before you actually get in there and start seeing it and have all these questions and I'm not there. But I'll be back on campus on that following Monday for your first lecture class, which will be with Ms. Campbell. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start out, I'm just going to kind of go through Blackboard first. I'll move this over here and I'm going to make it a whole lot smaller so we can actually see what we're doing. There we go. So now you can see me and you can see the course. Okay, so this is what Blackboard's going to look like for you guys this semester for your spring 102 semester. You already know about your announcements and the instructor contact information. Your course information I do want to go over. So it's got your Forsyth Tech course policies and procedures. There's your policy book, so that's always going to be on there. Your module is always going to be on there for your 102, which I've already emailed that out to you guys. But this is something new here, the NUR 102 calendar. So what I did is I put a calendar in here for you guys. Let me move this again. There we go. So I put a calendar in there so y'all could actually see what's going on. And I know y'all have a calendar that's in the module, but this is a little bit different because it's in Blackboard. So this is just a tool for you to utilize. I hope that y'all like this. But what's something that's different about it that you don't get to see like on the paper calendar is say for example on Monday the 14th you have Unit 1 that you'll be learning on. This is both Main and States campus. So you can click on it and you can say, oh, what is Unit 1? Well, that's the childbearing family and Ms. Campbell is teaching it. So I put who's going to teach it and what the units are so you can look in there. So say for example Unit 3, you have to just click on it here and then it says Unit 3 mobility with Miss Lundgren. And so now you're like, oh, okay, so Miss Lundgren's going to be in there. Now I know I can get some candy, right? She always brings candy. Rah, rah, rah. Okay, so you can also see your skills rotation day that's going to be there. So that's, and we'll talk a little bit about that today in this orientation, but more in depth on Friday when you come for orientation there. So that's something new for to Blackboard for you guys. I hope that you like that new addition there. Your list of advisors is also going to be found under this link for course information. There's your list of advisors. As you can see on States campus, R through W is Bilal and A through P is now Mr. Schoaf. But of course, I know Ms. Bilal was working with most of you guys and, she can continue to do that along with Mr. Schoaf, okay? Your additional study resources are here. I've already loaded those. That's your stat rep and your board vitals, how to get in touch with Carrie Walters, and then a blank disease map. And you'll learn to really use those. Those are a great tool for 102. This intent to graduate form, this is going to have to be turned in later. An announcement will come out about that, but I just wanted to go ahead and get that out there and post it on the site, okay? All right, your unit outlines and PowerPoints, they're still going to be the same. As you can see, Ms. Campbell has already posted up some of her stuff. She's the first one up. She's going to be with you guys for almost a whole month teaching on reproduction and care of the family. And Ms. Galloway already has something up as well, and she's going to talk about that during orientation about her perfusion unit and what that GLA is. Your assignments right here. So you already have one assignment that is going to be on orientation. It's going to be your first quiz, and yes, it does count. Quizzes count for 1% of your total final grade. But it'll have a due date. You'll know that due date when we go through that in your orientation. It also has the due date in there when you click on it. But this is just an online little quiz, and it's all about orientation and just assessing your understanding to make sure that you know what's going on. It's real simple. It's real easy. You get 2 tries to do it, and I think there's like a 60-minute time limit on it, and there's only 15 questions, and it takes the higher of both grades. So that will be good. And here's your clinical information. So this is the same, and I'm actually going to skip over this so I can go back to it and talk about the differences in your 102 clinical packets, okay? So we're going to skip over that clinical information, and what I do want to show you is your grades and tools. So if you go under your grades and tools and you click into My Grades, this is different this semester because what I have done for you guys is I have formulated this weighted total, and this is going to be your total grade. So you know how y'all, you have the sheet in your module that you can still figure out what your grade is, that has your GLA grades in there and your quiz grades. So GLA is 4% and quizzes is at 1%. This is going to be a running total of all of your grades, so all of your tests, all of your GLAs, and all of your quizzes, so you can really keep track of what's going on with your grade. This next one is also a new addition that I did for you guys. It is just your test averages. So that is, your test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 8 tests, just like last semester. So that is only your test grades. So the test average is only your test grades. Your weighted total is everything in conjunction. So I hope that clarifies stuff for you guys. Also, in your module, you can continue to use that sheet as well as that app is a really nice, helpful tool. I've already plugged in things in here too, so you can see where I've got spaces for where GLAs go. I also have spaces where quizzes goes. I don't know who's given a GLA, which instructors are given GLAs yet, or which instructors are given quizzes yet. I do know, I just put those in there as placeholders and stuff, so it will be named appropriately on what it would be. So like your orientation quiz is already in there. Wait for you guys to take after orientation on Friday, of course, and I think you have a week to take it. But it's already in there, and it's called, NUR 102 Orientation Quiz, so you can really identify which one it is for you. Now I'm going to go back up to the clinical information because that one's a little bit more in detail. So as soon as you click on clinical information, there's your journals, and your journal is the same exact way of when you're going to be submitting it. But your due dates changed a little bit, okay? So I put here for your due dates, if you have a clinical day, if your clinical day is on Tuesday and or Wednesday, or Tuesday and Wednesday. So if it's any combination of Tuesday and Wednesday, or so if you have 2 half days, then you go Tuesday and Wednesday, or if you have a full day on Tuesday or a full day on Wednesday, your due date for your paperwork is going to be Friday by 9 a.m. I did this because if we have a test on Thursday, I didn't want y'all stressing out on Wednesday trying to get it in on Thursday. I'd much rather you be more prepared for your test. And then you can go back and you can spend that more time on your clinical paperwork if you need to do so. If you're up at Northern, this will be the only group that has clinical on Tuesdays and Fridays, then your paperwork is going to be due on Sunday. If you're the Saturday group, there's only one Saturday group, and that is with Miss Vasova, and the paperwork is going to be due on Tuesday. Again, I didn't want you to have it due on Monday and then have a test that fail on a Monday. Okay, same thing as usual with your journals. You'll go through here, you'll find your name, and you'll submit and upload your journal. Okay. All right. So there's your clinical learning packet where you can download that, and I'm going to click in those and show you some differences in that in just a second. Here are your guidelines and stuff, and these are updated for 102. So you have the guidelines for completing the CLP, and that is for 102, and an example of a completed CLP, your medication, card guidelines and example, guidelines for safe administration of medications, and then you still have your step-by-step submitting and using your electronic CLP, as well as step-by-step mobile device directions there. They changed, just a little bit. I just update them. They're basically the exact same. If you know how to submit that to your journal already and you already, know how to use your mobile device, that's great. But I still have those resources there for you. These are your clinical schedules. So if you click in there, y'all should have all received your clinical schedules and know exactly what your schedule is going to be. But here they all are as well. So if you lose it or can't find it, you can always pull it up online. It's right there for you. Okay. And here are your clinical out rotations. So there's 3 different clinical out rotations this semester. You have your OB rotation at Downtown Health Plaza. You have your simulation, which is going to be on the Stakes campus, and I've listed these addresses under each one. And you have your mother-baby rotation at Iredell Hospital, and there's the address for that. So if you click in there, that's going to be like your master schedule too for those out rotations. Downtown Health Plaza, this one for your OB rotation. So if you click on that, and you'll see what I mean by your master schedule. Okay. If you click on that, you can see exactly where you are. Now you have your clinical schedule, so you know which day you're going to OB, but you really need to be aware, are you going in the morning time or are you going in the afternoon? Because there's 2 different groups of students on each day. So you can see here is the morning group, and I've got that highlighted in yellow, and here is the afternoon group. So you can really point those out, okay? So you can see, for example, on Tuesday, January the 29th, Takoa will be going in the morning, so she should get there at 8 o'clock. But Erica's also going on January the 29th, and she's going in the afternoon, so she should be there at 12 o'clock. And you'll either meet Miss Campbell or Miss Bilal. It'll be one or the 2, okay? So I'm going to click out of that and go back into Blackboard. There we go. And go back into the clinical out rotations. As you can see, and Miss Campbell's going to talk about this during your orientation on Friday, for Downtown Health Plaza, you're going to have drug cards that are due. These are the drug cards here, okay? And she'll talk to you more about that on Friday's orientation. Here's your SIM rotation master schedule, just like that OB master schedule. Your mother-baby master schedule, so you can see what that is. And like I said, they're all on your individual clinical schedules, but I just have that one for OB is different because it's either in the morning or the afternoon. For your mother-baby here, you have to review these requirements prior to going to that out rotation. This material is directly from Iredell Hospital, so it's giving you an idea of what to expect and the knowledge that you need in order to take care of these patients and get the best out of that experience and that observation experience. So, like different labor techniques and positions for women and stages of childbirth, and so what you're looking for there, and the assessment, the new board assessment and stuff. So you're going to be required to do that reading before your mother-baby out rotation. So I'm going to click back into your clinical stuff, and that was your out rotations. One more thing about the clinical schedules. Everybody's clinical schedule is unique and different. So you really do need to follow your own clinical schedule, because the hours all equal up to the same amount that everybody's spending in clinical, but it's different times and it may be different. So if you're in, for example, Miss Casey's group at Iredell, then you may have to go to clinical the day before you go to your OB rotation. But if you're in somebody else's group, You may not have to go to clinical the day before your OB rotation. So your classmate that's sitting beside of you may say, no, you don't have to go to clinical this week. That's what everybody says. You don't have to go to clinical the same week you do your OB out rotation, or the same week that you have your simulation experience and that rotation. It's going to be different. So I don't want you guys to start talking to each other and then get confused, because if you don't show up, then that's going to be a clinical absence, and we don't want that to happen. So really follow your own schedule, okay? Here's the open lab schedule for 102, okay? Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and this is open for, it's on main campus for those Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And it's open for States students too. I know a lot of you guys live closer to main campus than States campus, so if you need to come to open lab, that's there and that's available. Those Tuesdays and Wednesdays open lab, it's a generalized open lab, and that's for ADN students as well. So those are going to be some things, more of your clinical skills and stuff that you want to work on. So if it's like program specific, you probably need to email me so I can see, make sure that I'm up there, or another instructor's up there that's with the PM program. Then we'll be there Thursday mornings and Thursday afternoons before class. For Stokes, you have Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Those are going to be with Mr. Schoaf, and you will need to make sure that you send him an email or talk to him in advance to make sure that he's there, okay? He's more than willing to be there, and y'all know he does a great job with skills and open lab and everything that you need there, but just schedule that with him, okay? And then Thursday afternoons are also going to be an open lab, so if you need to come in there on Thursday afternoons and work on any kind of thing. And like I said, Stokes students are welcome to attend open lab on main campus, okay? And here are your, for the second week, those skills days. And y'all can see that in your individual schedules where you'll be on main campus on those days, and that is, Stokes campus and main campus. Y'all both be on main campus for those for January the 22nd and January the 23rd. That day is going to last from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock, okay? And y'all all have a little lunch break, so it won't be too bad. These 2 days are great days. Students really love these. It's a lot of hands-on skills. We're rotating through and all kinds of different things. Y'all learn so much during those 2 days. But it is clinical days. So you want to make sure that you're in your clinical uniform and you have your clinical badges on, and you are not late to your assigned classroom. And we'll look at those assignments when I'm kind of skirting through Friday's orientation here in a bit, as well as you'll get to see them again on Friday during Friday's orientation, okay? But because it's clinical, you do not want to be late. So do not be a minute late to that classroom that you're assigned to be in, because it's going to be like a clinical day, because these are clinical skills and everything that you are learning. And if you're late, that's going to be, sent home and turned around as a clinical absence. All right, so your electronic clinical learning packet, I wanted to look at a couple of things that have changed for this semester. For your pen assessment tool here, it's really about the same, only a couple different changes. Here we go. So, as you can see, it really looks the same, right? Your temperature, pulse, and respirations, and you type in here, you can put your time, so if it was at, 7 o'clock that you got it, so you know how to do this. The things that have changed on here is the drop-down boxes have different terms, so they're more advanced terms. So now, 101, you were starting to learn some of these terms and the medical terminology and what the meanings of these are. So for 102, you should really know what those are by now. So they have got more options in there. As you can see with vision, there's more options in there as well. Stuff like that. Edema now has your pitting in there, so you should understand and recognize what pitting is. And here is another change here. for your Braden scale. So this column here, when you click in it, it's a reference column. It does not have a drop-down box. There's nothing to do. But this is a correlating column. See how this one says sensory perception and this one says sensory perception? This one does have a drop-down box. So this is where you'll put your number at. So you'll say, okay, this patient was slightly limited, so that's a 3. For moisture, I come over here, and they're occasionally moist, so that's a 3. Activity, let's say they're chair fast, so that's a 2. Mobility, let's go with, since they're chair fast, they're very limited, right? So that would also be a 2. Nutrition, they love to eat, so it's excellent. And friction and shear, if they're chair fast, let's say that could be definitely a potential problem. Well, as you go through there, you can see that it has added up your score for you. So you don't have to add that score up anymore. It's going to go ahead and do that calculation for you, okay? And then the rest is the same. Just make sure when you're doing this, when it says identify stage, you know, if you have a patient that's, say, 68, you know, your stage is going to be that, you know, 65 or older. So you would type in here in your box, you know, ego integrity versus despair, and then identify which stage that they're in, right? So if you put ego integrity versus despair, you know, just identify which one they're in. So you can say they're in despair. And your explanation here is, say, patient was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, right? That would put anybody in despair. Okay, so that's kind of how that goes. Those are the changes for your assessment tool. Now let's take a peek at medication cards are the same. But I do want to take a peek at your main CLP. Now, for those that are new, we have some new incoming students come in. When you're coming to here for your electronic clinical learning packet, you will want to make sure that you save that to your computer and you're not just working right off of it. So, you know, I can click open and it'll open up and I can start typing in it just like I did with that pen assessment tool there. But you will definitely want to click, if you click that save and then save as, then that goes ahead and saves it to your computer. Or you can always open it and then do save as. But if you don't do, you know, and then file and save it to your computer. But if you don't do that, you just start typing in there and everything, and then it's going to go away. And then try to save it, it goes away. So just make sure that you're doing that first. I know we had some complications with that a couple of years ago. So this is what your clinical learning packet looks like for 102. As you can see, this all still looks the same, right? Discussion of your medical diagnosis, it's still the same. Now there's an additional, well, you can see already there's a missing sheet, and it is missing on purpose. So that time sheet that you used to have to fill out, it's gone. You don't have to do that anymore. Say bye-bye. I know y'all are going to miss it terribly. I can tell. This is a new addition here, your secondary diagnosis. So now you will have, you know, when the patient is admitted to the hospital, you know, say their main diagnosis was CHF. Well, now you have, but they're in they also have diabetes, and they also have, you know, other stuff going on. You know, they also have hypertension. So, you know, they have a long list of medical diagnoses. And the reason why this is put in here is to kind of link those. So yes, he has CHF, but what led to that CHF? Look in his history, and let's look at those diagnoses. So that's there. Your plan of care, they're basically the same, except for now there's 2 on a sheet. All right, so that makes it a little bit better. So there's 2 there, and there's 2 right there. On here, what is added though is your problem. So your concept, let's say if he did have CHF, which is congestive heart failure, if he did have CHF, that would be perfusion, right? Heart perfusion. But the problem that he is having there, let's say hypertension, right? So you can put, high blood pressure, and then you're going to do those kind of goals and interventions. Well, if he was short of breath because he's got CHF with fluid retention, then you could put, the concept would be oxygenation here, and your problem would be shortness of breath. Your concept map, the difference here is it's added the problem. So it's the concept and then it's the problem. We just want to make sure that y'all can link those together. Everything else is the same. It's got your supporting data and then your correlating medications. Your list of concepts are still here for you, so you can pick from those main list of concepts. There's also more concepts out there. I just listed the main ones, so that's the same as well. Your medication evaluation tool is the same. However, I do want to point out that this is in here. So what you put in this column right here on your medication evaluation tool is going to be all the medicines that you would be given during your scheduled time at clinical. So say if you're there for a half a day on Tuesday, so your clinical time is from 6:30 to 12. You want to list all of those scheduled medications from 6:30 to 12. And that means if you're given medications that day or if you're not given medications that day. If it's your time, then you need to put that in there. As well as any PRNs that are given during that time, 6:30 to 12. So you would say if they were having, pain medications or anything like that. Let's see. That's my son, so you'll have to just excuse me, I am at home. So they'll be there for any PRN, say if they had any kind of pain medications or anything else, nausea medication, those will be listed there, as well as any pertinent medication orders. So if let's say for example, your patient has, their main diagnosis is sepsis, they are going to be, obviously sepsis, they have infections, right? Infection in the blood somewhere, so they need to have an antibiotic, but that antibiotic is scheduled at 2 o'clock, so it's scheduled at 1400, but your clinical time was from 6:30 to 12. Well, that antibiotic needs to be in there because that's a direct link to your patient's diagnosis. We want to make sure that you can see that connection. Here is something different. So this is listing all of the medications that were not listed up there. So you were scheduled from 6:30 to 12. You listed all your medications, your pertinent medications, and any PRNs up there. But now the rest of his scheduled medications are going to be listed in this area right here. Your lab and diagnostic is still the same, so you can see those. And then your nursing notes are still the same with your prompts. So not too many changes, but enough that I wanted to walk through with you guys so you could point that out. All right, so that is basically everything that I wanted to show you on Blackboard that is different from 101. Now I want to just peek at our orientation that you'll be having on Monday. On Friday the 11th. And just point out some things just to make sure. Okay, so this is where your groups are for those skills rotation days. So you'll see this screen again because this is the orientation PowerPoint for Friday. You'll see this again on Friday, but I wanted you to go ahead and look at it so you're already kind of prepared and you know what's going on already. So these are your groups and your days that you'll be in, and those are the classrooms that you'll report to. So let's say, for example, Riley goes, to Bob Green Hall, room West 304 on Tuesday. And so Riley, you need to be there right at 8 o'clock, or, a little before 8 o'clock, waiting right outside West 304 because the clinical instructor in there will be expecting you. And, same thing like Hannah over here. She's going to be, on Tuesday, she'll go to Bob Green Hall, West 237. And that's at 8 o'clock. All right. Now, let's look at Riley again. So Riley, on Wednesday, this is the other schedule, so it flip-flops. On Wednesday, Riley, you need to report to the Hoosier building, so Hoosier 215, and that is at 8 o'clock, right? 8 o'clock. Both these days are 8 to 2. I just already have your lunch scheduled in there. So what you'll do that day, Riley, is you will take your HESI exam first, and this is that follow-up HESI, right? Because you've done a lot of you have done your remediation, and I'll look at that little calendar here in just a minute for you guys too. So after you'll do your HESI test, and then after that you'll go to lunch, and then you'll come back and follow our instructions that we tell you to do after when you get back, because you'll actually be reporting to another room and just doing IVs after that for that skill, because we put a little bit more time in there for the IVs. I think that might be what the main things I wanted to go over. Like I said, Miss Campbell's going to be really going over a lot of this downtown Health Plaza and talking to you about that. And then remember that you'll have that orientation, and there's that due date. So your deadline is January the 18th at midnight, right before midnight. So the quiz does count as a grade, and that's your due date after that. So you'll be able to access that, of course, after when Blackboard opens up. Now let's talk about HESI real quick. Your HESI remediation. I'm going to pull up the list here so you can see the students that are highlighted in yellow are the ones that still need to do that HESI remediation. And I know it's not due until Thursday, but I do want you to go ahead and think about getting that done earlier than later, just so you can make sure you can get in and you're not having any issues or problems. We've had a couple students that had some issues getting in. Kitten, I saw that you had been in already, so I know you got yours done and under control, but I know you're not done with it, but you got in. But I do want you guys to go ahead and get that done, because you really need to be concentrating on that dosage calculation before you come in to your orientation on Friday. So I'd like for you to try to get that done, okay? And that's like a ticket to class. You really do need to, like I said, you need to get that done. There are consequences if you don't get that done. I think that's a mandatory open lab and more time on campus. So then you'll have to finish it on campus with us. It's really important to get that done. If you have an open lab referral, you can't go to clinical until that open lab referral is completed, which is going to be this and on campus. And if you can't go to clinical, then that's a clinical absence, and so we don't want you to put you in that situation. So go ahead and get it done. It's just an hour and 30 minutes. It's real simple and easy, but it does seem to be very beneficial. I hope you can see your scores improve from the HESI exam that you took at the end of 101 to then taking it at the beginning of 102. And our research shows that it does improve. So I'm going to kind of go down this list here, and like I said, you can see if your name is highlighted in yellow that you still need to do your HESI here. Some of you, I put the times on there, and I know some of you have got in there and done times. I just kind of put some times that are of people that are kind of getting close to their requirement, which is an hour and a half. So Megan, you have an hour. I can tell that you've been in there and you've done an hour and a minute, so you're almost there. Riley, I'm picking on you today. You've had 45 minutes, and I'm just kind of going slow down this list so you can see it. And Erica, goodness girl, you're doing good. You only got 7 more minutes to fulfill your requirement. Just because you've done the hour and a half doesn't mean you can't, complete more of that and get the most out of it. That's just the minimum amount of time that we're requiring you to do that HESI review. Okay. So I think that is about it that I wanted to go over. Blackboard should be available, and open up on the first day. So I hope that you, like I said, I hope you're enjoying your break. You've got just a couple more days left. And I will see you guys on that Monday, right? I hope you've enjoyed your break. I know I sure have. We already had to go back to work, so it wasn't as good. But bye-bye, and I'll see you on Monday. Now I gotta figure out how to get off of this thing. Bear with me.